Okay, our last speaker is going to talk about an opportunity that you could take advantage of if you haven't already for lots of different things, but one of them is grantsmanship and partnerships. And that's your favorite multi-state committee. And we've seen it happen many times that these have been a great venue for organizing ideas and generating grant applications. We had an example this morning where after getting a grant, then they formed a a multi-state committee. So you can play this a couple different ways, but it's something to really take seriously. And here to talk about that is Rhoads from Virginia Tech University, and if you haven't looked through his slides yet, it's an interesting take on the concept of partnerships. Take it away, Rob.
Thanks for the introduction. Good afternoon. So I'm here to try and bring a different perspective on how you can increase your grantsmanship, and that's potentially through the use of these multi-state committee meetings or projects. And so you might notice that I have a cold, and that's thanks to the 3 kids I have, ages 6, 4, and 3. And so 2 main priorities right now in my life are staying healthy and kindergarten. And so as I was thinking about these multi-state projects, and in particular my experiences with them and how it's been involved in my grantsmanship, I couldn't help but draw some parallels between lessons from kindergarten and how you might apply these to these multi-state projects and really take advantage of this unique opportunity. So actually, before I get into these lessons, how many people participate in a multi-state project? There's a couple. So for you, these lessons might enhance your experience that you're going through already. For the rest of you, I guess what I'll first talk about is maybe what my multi-state project group involves. And so the multi-state projects, and there's a great description of what the multi-state projects are and the different aspects of them on the USDA website, but they're funded by the Hatch Act, and so they're projects that have terms of 5 years, and they cover different goals or aims that different state agricultural experiment stations participate in. And so individuals from all the different ag universities can opt to join an experiment project. And so I joined one, I guess at the time it was NC 1131. They all have these unique number identifiers that end up changing when they get renewed and all that kind of stuff. But mine had been going on for, I guess, 30-some years. And I joined it initially when I was at the University of Arizona. And so what it is, we get together each year, and it's a group of maybe 20 scientists. And so we gather at a sponsoring institution. One of our members sponsors it at their institution, and so we spend about a day and a half, and what we give is essentially station reports. So each person from each institution or university will get up and give about a 20 to 30 minute presentation on what they've done, what they've researched the past year. And so we all sit around and we listen to these different station reports, and we just sit around and talk science and talk about the projects that people are doing. We provide feedback, criticism, things like that. And then, at the end of that day, then we all go out for, some beers and some supper, and we keep talking science. It's a very relaxed, informal atmosphere. but it really helps foster communication between the different universities. And so as I'll go through it, it allows you to really enhance your grantsmanship. And so we've got a wide range of individuals participating in our project. We've got one individual, one guy, he's been on it since the inception, and so he's forgotten more about muscle biology than I'll ever know. And so he's a huge resource for me to bounce ideas off of, or to throw something at him and for him to say, well, yeah, that's not a bad idea, but we just proved that in 1980, we just didn't publish it, So there's that kind of aspect on there. And then there's the young individuals like myself, several individuals who are just starting out and who are trying to make a way for themselves, trying to get grants. And again, it provides opportunity for us to interact and maybe collaborate and join together on a grant. And so that forms the basis for this first idea, this first lesson, is to share. And that's the whole idea, is this is a huge networking opportunity. So it gets you out of your home institution, and you may have a bunch of colleagues at your home institution that you can interact with, but it gets you out of that environment into an environment where there's a lot of different perspectives. And so I'm at Virginia Tech now, and we've got 4 individuals on the same multi-state project that I'm on. And so I interact with these people every day. But when we go to the multi-state project every year, we get out of our own little clique, and we interact, and we get feedback and ideas from other people. And so again, it's a way to talk to colleagues, and these are individuals that are probably going to be working obviously very closely in your area, and hopefully, likely, you're not competing against them. They're trusted colleagues that you can bounce ideas off of, present your own novel ideas, and get feedback from it. And like I said, the gentleman who has been researching for 30 years is a fantastic mentor, and someone that I can not only talk to about science, but managing my lab, finding different resources. And so they're a great opportunity to form a partnership and a mentoring partnership. And so again, establishing collaborations is a big key. So when we go to these meetings, we're talking about our research. If I have an idea for a grant, and there's a specific aspect of that grant where I've got a hole, there's someone where I need to plug who has some specific expertise, more than likely I can find that person at that regional project. And so this has happened, and we've gotten USDA grants based on this, where I'll be the PI on the grant, and I have a subcontract going to another university because that person is filling that hole that I need to have that expertise in. And then, when I go to these meetings, I present my work. And so it's an opportunity to showcase my work and also get feedback on it. And so it allows me to improve my thinking and maybe start to take a different direction that I hadn't thought of, because one of my colleagues says, well, why didn't you think about this, or why don't you do this? And so then I can take that home and think about it, or maybe I can say, okay, well, can you help me with that? Can you show me how to do that? So I don't mean this literally, either in your office at your institution or at the multi-state region project. But you can look at these meetings. Again, I said that we typically go to a different university. It's a time to get out of the office, and you can look at it as a time to recharge. It's a time to get a different perspective and come back refreshed and renewed. And so you can also go there and you're listening to your colleagues' ideas on something or how they're approaching a particular problem. And so then you can say, hey, well, that's a good idea. Can I apply that to what I'm doing? And so, you get that perspective from fresh eyes. It's like you're reading a manuscript or you're writing a manuscript, give it to a colleague to look at, and they see that, you've got all these spelling errors that you're just glancing over, right? So, these are an opportunity to get away from the office and recharge. So when we think about our grant applications, it's trying to get our point across. And so it's the same thing when we go to these multi-state projects. If we're presenting our ideas and the people who know the field best aren't getting it, well then you're not getting your point across. And so likely when you're writing that grant, someone that's not in the field is going to be totally bewildered. They're not going to know, which end is up. So again, it's about getting your ideas out there and then taking that feedback, developing a thick skin. I know in my multi-state project, again, we've got these senior colleagues that they're a bit old school. They're kind of like those tough guys that they tell you like it is. And so if they say something, you take it to heart and you realize, okay, I got to go back and rethink this. But it also gives you an opportunity to, again, seek out those partnerships and seek out that help, either for writing the grant, getting a perspective on it, or trying to fill those holes and trying to build up a collaboration. And so I think the multi-state projects allow you to live a balanced life. So you can plan either before the multi-state project or coming away from it about a particular grant project. For example, who in that multi-state project has different areas of expertise. And so either before you go to the multi-state project, depending on when your grant is due and where you are in the grant cycle, you can start to put together a proposal that is essentially you can vet during your multi-state project to your different participants and say, hey, I've got this idea, why don't we get on board and try and put this together, okay? And so you plan it, you can meet with your participants regularly, meet with them yearly, and so if for example you're successful in getting that grant, well, you've already got an automatic system where you're meeting with them yearly to discuss projects and progress on that grant. So when you go through the grant, again, it's being able to balance everything together. One thing that's difficult, I've been on a number of grants with multiple individuals, and whether it's writing it or editing it, trying to get things to flow is extremely difficult. So this becomes a critical aspect, especially when it comes to grant submission. But when you've got different participants, trying to get the sections to flow, because you might want Joe from Idaho to put this section in the grant. His writing style likely doesn't match your own, or doesn't match someone from another institution, and so that becomes a bit of a challenge. to get things to mesh and flow. And so that's something to be aware of ahead of time. But again, plan and try and balance those things out. And so the last thing is to be aware of wonder. And so what this means is, again, showcase your talents in front of your peers at that multi-state. And so this can have a number of effects. So not only can, if you're trying to get an idea or sell an idea to your colleagues, you can do this, but your colleagues might see what you're doing, and when they go back and are thinking about a grant, they say, well, Rob Rhoads at Tech is doing some wonderful work here. I need to get him involved in this grant. And so making sure that your colleagues are impressed with your work at the multi-state is very important. And it's also important from the fact that members of the multi-state are likely serving on that grant panel. I've served on a grant panel myself, and I've seen grants from fellow multi-state participants. And so if they're aware of your work, that can only help in a grant panel, especially if it's viewed favorably. So it's a good opportunity to showcase your data. And then again, if you want to get them participating, get them excited about it, or if you just want to make sure that whatever grant you're going to submit to the panel is going to get reviewers excited about it. If it gets your multi-state committee excited about it, it's likely to get reviewers on the panel excited about it. So if you can do one, you can likely do the other. So the other aspect of the multi-state partnerships, and I've been focusing on research, but a lot of multi-states participate also in extension. But an example in our multi-state with regards to education, we have a faculty member up north who wanted to start a web-based physiology course. And so he didn't have the expertise at his own institution to run this course. And so he ran it through the multi-state and got individuals in the multi-state project to participate in this web-based graduate course based out of his institution. And now he has at least a half a dozen outside faculty members giving guest lectures in this physiology course. So again, he formed that partnership through the multi-state to get that course up and going. So there's all sorts of potential in these multi-state projects. So if you guys have any questions.
Some questions for Rob. Oh, I should have just walked over this way anyway, because you have lots of questions. Good.
Excuse me if this is too basic of a question, but I'm not really familiar with what a multi-state is, how you start one, or how you get into one.
So that's a good question. And so you would go through your ag experiment station director to initiate the process. I don't know.
He's not at a land-grant university.
What's that?
He's not at a land-grant university, so they don't have an ag experiment station, do you? No.
Yeah, so then that's a good question.
Well, anybody can join a multi-state. They just have to contact someone. What's the best place to go to get the information? I mean, NIMS, yeah. We'll talk. Or we'll answer that question online so everybody else has the answer too. But there is a website you can go to see all the different multi-states, and then you just contact like the chairman and say, well, they'll list when their next meeting is, but just contact the chairman and say, I'd like to join your multi-state. And there's a lot of people not at land grants that are in multi-states. ARS scientists, a lot of ARS scientists, multi-state, private sector in some cases are on multi-state committees. So it's
so probably the best thing to do is to contact maybe some colleagues that you know are in your area and ask them what project they participate in. It can be a bit daunting to search through all of the different projects because there's over 100. I think in the South region there's mid upper 20s. So
if you have colleagues at Auburn, that would be a good place to start. But any of the land grants in the South where you have colleagues, you could ask them. That's a good point.
I just wanted to say, though, that they don't have to be from the South. I mean, if in your area, you know somebody in the Western region or the North Central region, the regional designation just means that the idea for the project started in that region. Rob was talking about being on an NC project when he was at Arizona. NC stands for North Central. So Arizona's in the Western region, Virginia is in the Southern region, or sometimes the Northeast, depends on the day of the week. But so you don't have to be from a specific region to be on that project. So you just, if you have colleagues that are in your area of expertise and they are at a land grant, and most land grant scientists have to be on one of these multi-state projects because of the rules, they'll be able to point you in the right direction.
Other questions? No. Okay. We don't have any online. Okay. Well, thank you, Rob. Thanks for the kindergarten lesson. Okay, so we're wrapping up here today. A couple things I wanted to mention. When the archive is available next week, they are going to sync the PowerPoints and the AV. So if you did miss if your syncing wasn't particularly good today while you were watching, and you want to just go back and see something, you can just find that spot in the presentation, and the PowerPoint should be the one that the speaker was using. Also, the evaluation forms, we would ask that you complete those online and give us as much information as you would care to do as far as the various talks and any other things related to the presentations. The only other thing, I guess, is just, again, to thank our hosts, North Carolina A&T, and all their staff. Shirley had to leave early, so she's gone. But Adonica's here, and all these guys are still here. Thank you guys for working through all the nuances of broadcasting this. And I want to also thank all our speakers. I think we had a lot of really good information here today, and it should be useful to a lot of people that weren't able to watch today and can watch or can look at the archives later on. Any final parting comments? Did I miss something? So where are the drinks? Where are the drinks? Okay. Anyway, yeah, it's been a great opportunity to come down here and put on this grantsmanship workshop. This is the only one our agency had this year, so it was, I guess, a little bit unique in that respect, and we tried to make it as broad as possible to inform a wide audience. So I want to thank you for participating both here on site and virtually, and good luck in your future grantsmanship activities. Thank you.